Obviously, I still stick up for black people, not for BLM. I can stick up for white people without being on the side of the KKK. Not sure if you noticed, but the majority of white people in this country are not part of the KKK. When you say white people, but you mean KKK, you should say KKK. When you say white people, but you mean Donald Trump, you should say Donald Trump. You want to talk about the upper echelon of white people? Do you want to talk about the upper echelon of black people? Black judges doing the exact same thing? Black police officers doing the exact same thing? It's only wrong if a white person does it? It's only wrong if the black person is the victim? Really? This is the narrative you want to sell us. You want to sell us that when we've got a bunch of black kids beating on a white kid waiting at a bus stop, or beating on a white girl for sitting on the bus, sitting on a train. And BLM wants to turn a blind eye to that. Well, that's because BLM is racist. The majority of black people who are murdered by police are homeless. The majority of black people who are murdered by serial killers are homeless. The white people who are killed by police are homeless. The majority of white people who are killed by serial killers are homeless. You get to see how many serial killers that we have, and complete and total loose cannon goddamn nut jobs. One of them drove from Virginia to California to kill a 14-year-old girl's parents. See, that's the kind of creeper you guys want to pretend I am. You want to pretend I'm a cop. You want to pretend I'm a woman, or that I think I'm a woman. No, I don't think I'm a woman. I know damn well that I don't get to unzip my blouse to try to get out of a parking ticket. I know goddamn well I don't get to use my period as an excuse for speeding. I know goddamn well that if I am sexually assaulted by a woman, I don't get to say, oh, I have a vagina, I'm the victim. I know that if a black man decides that he wants to start shit with me because he thinks he can get away with it, I know the chances of him pushing me and shoving me and yelling things like, call me the N-word, I know you want to, dare you, I dare you. How many of y'all have dealt with that? Out of a bully who's black, and he wants you to say the N-word. Of course, you don't have to actually say it. He's eventually going to get pissed off that you won't, and he's going to assault you anyway. And then he's going to try claiming that you said it anyway. He still wants to win. Now, I'm not pretending that this is a black-only trait or a white-only trait. No, human beings don't want to be held accountable. I am absolutely held accountable. I am held accountable for the sins of others. I am victimized as if I am a Robert Franklin Warnick. That's right, he's a registered sex offender. So he's protected by law. It's a hate crime to go beat the living fucking shit out of him, or to blow his goddamn head off. But it's fine for him to threaten to do those things to me. It's fine for him to do these things over and over and over again. It's fine for a registered sex offender to repeatedly threaten, harass, and assault a victim of sexual crimes. That's what Scott DaCosta said loud and clear. This shit is not acceptable. A lot of people want to speak for me even though they don't know what the fuck is going on. How about you let me do the speaking? You follow my lead until you know what the fuck is going on. Now, the lady who was trying to be my advocate, she said if I send her the stuff, she'll look at it. But then she's telling me not to send it to her, that I have to send it to her with a transcript. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great if these mandated reporter training videos came with a transcript instead of a workbook? See, the workbook goes along with, well, having to listen to the curriculum. That source book that you get when you're doing these mandated training things isn't a source book. It's a questionnaire to see how well you retained the information. So the closest that I could do is to find a questionnaire to send her. When it takes me over 2 hours or over 3 hours of searching to try to find something that I could have sent to you hours ago and you could have listened to it already. But because of her disabilities, which I am expected to understand, you seeing how this is a pain in my ass? Meanwhile, the lady is extremely helpful. She has been extremely helpful. Oh, by the way, I broke at least one toe on my right foot, possibly two. I fucked up 4 of them altogether. Now, of course, that's something that I got to deal with. I have to walk on it because I have shit I have to do. If a doctor tells me, hey, you need to not do a whole bunch of stuff, but I have to do a whole bunch of stuff in order to turn in my predators, understand that I have to turn in my predators in order to put a stop to the abuse that I continue to endure to this day, which includes being forced into homelessness. Fuck this goddamn country and everybody in it. This whole world deserves to be nuked. We've got popular people who live high on the hog and you care about them. Seriously, you give a fuck about the Kardashians? If all of the Kardashians got into a car accident and died today, the only reason that I would give a shit is because you guys wouldn't shut up about it for 6 fucking months. When your own friends are being fucking harmed in real life, and all you give a fuck about is Johnny Depp, you are showing that you are a superficial piece of shit. You are showing that looks and money are what you care about. Those are the people that you care about. You want Johnny Depp to like you. See, that's one of the biggest problems that I see with women in the United States. There's the men who treat them well, and then there's the men that they date, and they're not the same. Good men are for taking advantage of, and bad people are for having unprotected, drugged up sex with. How is it that you ended up having a baby with that complete and total asshole? Well, you dressed like a cheap whore, or tried to dress like an underage schoolgirl to go to the bar, you are literally trolling for pedophiles at that point. When you're a 26-year-old woman trying to dress up to look like a 14-year-old Catholic schoolgirl, you are asking for the wrong kind of attention. That's not saying you're asking to be raped, but I'm going to tell you something. If you dress up like a $2 hooker and you go to the bar and you get drunk with a guy who you already know he intends on trying to have sex with you, and then you leave with him and you have sex with him, that is not rape. If he turns out in the morning to be uglier than you remembered him last night, that's because you were drunk. You don't get to blame the alcohol. You chose it. If you are mentally inhibited due to alcohol, so is he. I don't go dressing like a $2 hooker when I go out in public and then say it's about me. I don't dress up like a 14-year-old Catholic schoolgirl at the age of 26 walking into a bar. I don't go trolling for pedophiles. Now, when we got a 14-year-old girl who thinks that she's more mature because she's physically taller than the boys, that doesn't make her mentally mature. And now that you've taught her that at 14, she's never going to grow out of that 14-year-old fucking frame of mind that she's smarter and better than boys because she got taller. Then you want to claim that all men are brain damaged. Oh, this is your excuse, isn't it? Or, of course, we should ignore the abuse against men in the United States because Muslim women in some countries have their genitalia mutilated at birth. Meanwhile, here in the United States, we mutilate almost every male at birth. The majority of males who are born in the United States have their genitalia mutilated. And we're told later on, oh, well, it's for her pleasure. You'll last longer. She'll like it more. It's more aesthetically pleasing to a woman. Why the fuck are you cutting up a baby's genitals? A fucking infant in the United States. You're going to cut up our genitalia in the United States because some 40-year-old woman is going to find it more aesthetically pleasing and will last longer if you cut off all them nerve endings. Men are not supposed to fuck for 4 hours. Most animals in nature, sex is over with in a matter of seconds. Meanwhile, we got to try to keep it up all the time. We have to keep up with raging hormones of women while we're told that we're all perverts. All of us men are perverts, and all we think about is sex. How the fuck would you know what I think about, woman? You're not a man. How the fuck would you think or feel if I told you all women think about is harming others? The majority of what I have seen out of women in this country is looking the other way or harming others. And both of them are harmful. When a man needs help, you will make every fucking excuse why you can't. No, you can. You're just a selfish piece of shit. You've been taught that it's okay for women to be selfish pieces of shit. While us men are taught that we're supposed to drop everything because a woman pretends. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. Now this lady who's hopefully going to try to help advocate for me, she has her own issues. Her own health issues, her own monetary issues. These are all things that I have to work around. Kind of like trying to work around Shannon Alvarado's alcoholism. Or Brett Broloff's meth addiction. Now, it's not the same. Trauma from abuse is not the same as drug use. Although most people try to drown it out with what? That's right, drug use. Most of the people out on the streets are on the streets because they were fleeing abuse. Most of the addicts on the street didn't start off as addicts. They were victimized into homelessness and then victimized for being homeless. And eventually, the only way to drown that out, because you have no rights, you're not a human being. But at least you get drunk, or get stoned, get fucked up on some substance and try to forget your problems for a few short minutes. But even then, you don't get to forget them for those few short minutes because you still have to worry that the cops are going to come harass you now because you've been drinking or doing drugs. Meanwhile, y'all know that you don't have to drink or do drugs. If you try telling on a police officer as a homeless person, they'll just pretend that you're drinking or doing drugs. It's their word versus yours. They automatically win. No breathalyzer, no whiz quiz. They call you mentally ill and you have no rights. You got to go to your friends and family for help. Meanwhile, if you had real friends or family, you wouldn't be homeless to fucking begin with. If Gary Jepson had helped me with the situation with Philip McPhee, or Jason Jepson for that matter, I would have been able to do something to stop that abuse. Instead of having to pay off a whole bunch of other people's bills and live in a fucking hot garage all summer. That was hell. It fucking sucked. Resulted in me sticking an SKS in my mouth. When it didn't go off, I went to work.